The following show features episodic breakdowns of Jackass, either performed by professionals or under the supervision of professionals. For your safety, avoid listening to this podcast at all times. Hi, I'm Mikey Ehrenworth.
I'm Jason Wellwood.
And I'm Chris Ehrenworth.
Welcome to Jackass.
Welcome to Jackass. It's the podcast where we're on a path of destruction through every single episode of Jackass.
We're three lifelong fans of the show, reliving the belly laughs, bad ideas, and broken bones.
We're back, folks. We're towards the end of these things. See, you're laughing, man, but fuck. Mikey wakes me up early and he fucking expects me to be on my game. That's why I fucking hate this guy.
Okay. All right.
That's the reason why.
It is 11 a.m. It is 11 in the morning. And Chris is basically, I asked before we hit record, I'm like, we ready to go? And Chris is just like, and then I knew you were going to try to put forth effort, and I appreciate it, but you ran out of gas like right away.
Yeah. Well, that's what
It's all
happens.
right.
I mean,
It's been like fucking 5 parts, 6 parts, right?
It has been. Yeah. We're
Come
going to
on.
try. We're going to
We're all
try
tired.
to make it all the way to the end today if we can.
well, that's what threw me off. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to pre-commit to that in
Okay.
case we didn't actually make it there, so then I didn't know what I was going to say.
Okay. So what are we doing today, Chris?
Are you drinking
Rating
milk?
Jackass stunts. No, it's water.
Never mind.
Just-
No. It's like, I don't know,
It looks like milk
cold
with
glass
ice.
of
It
milk,
looks like milk
you
with
know.
ice.
It does.
I just put so
Milk
much
with
ice in
ice.
because I like my tap doesn't get too cold, and I really like cold water, so I have to put a whole bunch of ice in just to kind of like get it there.
Well, today's part 6 of Jackass 3D. We're continuing our stunt by stunt breakdown and rating of Bonanza. I'm pretty pumped for it, guys. I think that
Me too.
let's do a quick check-in with where we're at with Jackass 3D. When we started, I thought that this was the worst of the Jackass movies prior to watching it. That was my memory of Jackass 3D. But I'm actually like, stunt for stunt, this is like, this one can hang with the big boys. I'm actually loving Jackass 3D.
I think it is
Yeah.
the worst one, but it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. Like if you do have to rank them, it's not like it goes 2, 1, 3. But I've always loved it. I never thought it was not superb.
Yeah.
Ooh, good talking, Chris. It's gonna be a long one, boys.
Jay, what about you?
Yeah, it's been fun. No, I'm really liking it so far. I haven't watched this in fucking years, so yeah, you really do miss going back and there's we're gonna get to it hopefully at the end of the episode, but when you get to the credits, there's like a whole fucking thing of just like outtakes and things
Yeah.
like that. And there was a moment when I was watching that recently that I remember specifically of thinking like, holy shit, man, like you see a lot of kind of like throwaway stuff in there, right? You'll see like drop kicks and little things that they didn't use, right? And it's kind of a parallel of like it speaks to the quality of the stuff that's on offer here, like the highlighted sketches, because you see they had so much material that they filmed for this movie. That's why there's a 3.5. But like the amount of fucking bangers that they ended up with, like they had so much good shit. There was even shit in the credits where I was like, that was actually like, that could have been movie worthy, but
100%.
clearly they were just overloaded with good stuff. So yeah,
there is
something
one
special
stunt.
on this one.
There's one stunt that we're going to go over today that I think could have been replaced by just about anything else, and I'll let you guys
Okay.
know when we get there.
Well, you got to have a little bit of shit in the.
How
in
come
the
you guys
pot,
aren't wearing green?
I am wearing
I
green.
don't-
The shirt's
That's
green.
not green.
It is green.
It's like off
That is
gray
not green.
It's a
That's
light,
gray.
a light
At
green.
maybe cream at best.
It's green. It's green.
cream.
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm here and I'm looking at it. So it is.
I know Jay's got his 316 shirt on because he's in a different time zone, so he's still on yesterday probably.
Oh yeah. Austin 316. Yeah. 'Cause Stone
Yeah.
Cold said
So
so.
the reason why I said that, just in case anybody doesn't know, happy St. Patrick's Day to all our alcoholics. I mean Irish people. Yeah,
As of recording, yes.
as of recording, yeah.
Are we conflating those two together? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think
yeah,
so.
I think it's pretty
No,
fair.
I
I don't
not
think
gonna
they're even
debate it.
offended by that, to be honest.
There's been this
okay
whole
with
thing
that.
going on about Irish people being the least offendable people around.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love them for that.
We should. I guess we should take a moment then to just talk about the Irish, because this is a golden opportunity, boys. Everybody else that we talk about on this podcast, all the different groups that exist out there, there's always like a percentage that, okay, there's like we've got a risk percentage that we're going to offend somebody. With the Irish, though, we can just say pretty much whatever we want.
Mhm.
We could all do an Irish accent right now, and I'm sure we'd have some Irish people writing in later to say, hey, good job on the Irish accents.
Yeah.
You know,
it is funny. There are some
touche.
accents that you're okay to do and some that you're not.
Yeah.
Italian, have at it. Go do your best Mario impression.
Yeah.
There's certain ones that you just
unless you're
can't
Chris
do.
Pratt, because you're, you're just scared.
It's a me,
You're
Mario.
just a scared man. Yeah.
Is that what he's going to sound like in the Mario movie?
basically, it's
probably.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to, give the shout out where the shout outs due.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I know the Irish like a good game of golf, eh, boys?
Hey,
huh?
they do.
They do.
If you're,
Regular Payne
do they
Stewart
actually?
over
Is
there.
that a thing?
Yeah, it's.
If you're going out with the boys, you got to sneak a couple cans of the Budweiser in the bag. That's the tradition. If you're Irish, I don't know, maybe it's a couple Guinness, whatever you got to do. But listen, this next thing is I don't really like golf. I'm not gonna lie. I know you guys golf. It's okay. I'll play if the boys are going, but I'm not like super hard into it. This, however, buckethead golf, this is taking it to a whole new level. It could take the layman like me and I don't know, maybe add a little interest to the sport. So what you do here is if you're Johnny Knoxville, you put a bucket on your head. Then you go find a squash court, but you take your golf clubs, you take your friends, you take your caddy, you ask for advice on which club to use in this particular scenario, which is clearly going to be a driver. You want maximum power here. You hit that motherfucker against the wall, and you wait to see what happens. And I got to say, the fact that on the first hit, Knoxville banks that off the wall and takes it right in the throat is magic. It's magic.
It's a great start to this section of the of the movie. I think it's an awesome interstitial, and this one's rough because not even Johnny Knoxville can laugh at it. Like usually he can salvage something by laughing about it. He's down, almost down for the count. He's kind of like choking and chuckling a little bit, but it's pretty clear that he's not too happy about being in that situation.
Yeah. You could tell like he's trying so hard to laugh because it's Knoxville. He wants to enjoy and just soak in the pain that he's feeling and just like enjoy the moment, but he's being prevented because his airways are all fucked up from the impact.
Yeah.
It's like this it's like the fucking turtle trying to come out of its shell, but it's stuck halfway or something. I didn't have a better analogy. Fuck you.
Is that what it's like?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's like, Here's a better one. It's like when it's really cold out and you haven't been circumcised and you just can't get the head to poke through the curtains, And
you haven't been circumcised, as though that's like a daily thing that you do.
Yeah, you didn't have your daily circumcision. It grows back. I'm kind of like a chameleon.
Do you think Wolverine could be circumcised or no?
That is a question that I would like the answer to, but I don't know.
He could for at least like a day.
No, he grows back like right away.
Yeah. But hey, he could perform his own circumcision, so really it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's not like you have to call a guy if you're Wolverine. He could do 8 of them at once. With you line the. 2, okay, anyway, we don't need to. 2, it's 3. Fine. We're supposed to be talking about Jackass. Is it 6 or 8? I don't know. I'm probably gonna get a bunch of fucking hate mail now because I fucking got the number of claws wrong on Wolverine because that's the state of the world now, people.
It feels
real
like
issues.
Yeah.
Listen. This next one,
you're not getting in trouble for calling Irish people alcoholics, but you are getting in trouble for saying Wolverine has an extra claw.
And you joke, but that's probably not too far from the truth.
That's sadly a reality.
Yeah. But on this next one, guys, I mean, okay, you take a golf ball to the throat, that's fine. You'll heal from that. This next one, either you guys ever chip a tooth, lose a tooth, break a tooth. It's a pain in the ass, right?
All the above.
You gotta go to a dentist. Especially if it's a fucking holiday and you can't get in. Come on.
Dentists are no fun.
They're no fun. But on this one, if you're Ehren and it's a holiday and you're with the Jackass boys, don't worry. Everybody's a dentist. Everybody's qualified, especially if you got yourself a Lamborghini and some fishing line. This is the Lamborghini tooth pull, and this is one that, God, the fucking hype on this one, I remember when it came up in the theater. This is one of those sketches, we've talked about them before, where it's you get the intro, you get the basic premise, and you're just like dying to see what's going to happen. And I'm already like at a 10 just from the premise alone because it's great. It's fucking great.
Do you guys know the history of like how this one got made or kind of the trials and tribulations of filming and releasing this stunt?
No, I do not.
So Jackass 1 was supposed to have a Lamborghini tooth pull. The person whose tooth was supposed to be pulled, Don Vito. He got himself into a little bit of trouble before the movie's release, so they had to scrap the stunt. No. Their original plan was to have Novak be the person whose tooth got pulled. He volunteered because, in his words, if he wound up in the hospital, he'd be able to get free pain meds for it. That was part of his motivation to it. When it came to the day of filming, Novak was in jail, so they couldn't film it with him. So Ehren had to step up and have this pulled. Obviously, Jay already outlined the premise of this one, but this is also another one. We talked about the fat fucks and Ehren going down the snow hill in the shopping cart and breaking his neck. This was another massive injury for Danger Ehren. His entire face fractured up to his orbital bone when this one was done. Yeah, you can see he's like in incredible amounts of pain and his face looks numb. And in my mind, I'm like, man, it looked like a clean pull. Like, of course it would hurt, but he seemed like he was on that added level of pain. And that's why this was a massive, he had to get a bone graft to help him heal from it.
What?
Yeah. Danger Ehren took a licking in this one.
See, I was thinking about this because I'm like, when the tooth comes out, it's always so fascinating when you see the tooth out because we are so used to only seeing that like one part of the tooth, but the root makes it look like a completely different beast. You know what I mean? And that had a long root. So I was always thinking, like, if you're pulling horizontally, like you think you'd want to pull vertically to get the tooth out clean. So I guess when you, with that much force and power, pull horizontally, it's actually going to push back into the gums and could cause some kind of that
tooth looks like the prop from the movie Blade. Like, it looks like I didn't realize teeth could look like that.
Right, that's what I was saying. I was thinking back in bum fights when they get Rufus the stunt bum, when they pull out one of his tooth, you're like, that's the biggest tooth I've ever seen.
The biggest tooth.
Nasty, dude. Yeah, it's crazy that the stunt with probably the least visual, like it has the smallest visual like wow factor, is actually like one of the biggest damaging things to happen in the movie. I had no idea he had to get a fucking like bone graft and shit. That's gnarly, man.
It's gnarly.
I think like when they pop the tooth out and there's that moment when it just pops out. You're almost expecting there to be like an ADR like added in after the fact sound effect of like a or something.
There
like
is.
like a Seinfeld,
there is,
like a. Is there?
There
it looks like it just kind of just fucking came out.
No, they make a little popping sound like in post for sure, and it's so perfect. I think one of the reasons why we think it's such a minor stunt is because the pop is so easy go. It's just like, and that's it. It's like a perfect sound. Go back and listen to it, but it makes it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal. And I think that's why when you find out his whole face was fucked up as a result of it, it's a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And like you see immediately how much pain he's in though, because like he's just fucking howling and screaming there, and it looks like nothing, but I can imagine that doesn't feel good. You're having something ripped out of your body that's just like pure calcium and it's just rooted into your fucking jaw. Like, I can't imagine. But the thing that I love about this is in the setup is the way they really, like, they used way more string than they needed to, because that Lamborghini takes off and nothing's happening for like a couple of seconds. You think how fast a Lambo can like accelerate.
Like 0 to 60. That's how long was that rope?
Right. It takes a while and then it goes, and it was a good call on whoever set that up, because they created suspense, which was much needed. I think that's what made this so much better.
Yeah.
You want to see him squirming, anticipating the tooth pull, because that's the best part, right?
No one squirms like Danger Ehren squirms. He has the best anticipation to a stunt of anyone. Whether it's the shaky legs you got from Pin the Tail on the Donkey, or his anticipation in Jackass Forever of the bear coming to eat salmon and honey off of his lap. But we didn't mention Pontius is on set. He's the one kind of overseeing this, and he's in his doctor outfit. Dr. Pontius. It got me thinking the spin-off of Jackass that we all deserved but never got was Dr. Pontius of some sort, just like going in there and telling people about their woes and how to fix them. That would be the way to go.
His commitment, like a sitcom.
Yeah.
His commitment level is like he's always thinking ahead. Like, he clearly brought that toothbrush that he had. Like, he planned this out, you know what I mean? Because he had one fucking line for the toothbrush. I can't even remember what it was, but he had the toothbrush that he brought all the way there, and it was just like every little detail. He takes the time to make sure he's doing it right. Yeah,
he's a showman for sure. Unlike Bam in this stunt, though. Like, did you guys notice? Like, if you told me I got to rip a Lambo at top speed to pull my friend's tooth out, I'd be giddy. I'd be laughing. Bam looks like someone just like he woke up early and had to move his car to avoid it getting towed. Like he looks unhappy to be there. I'm like, dude, lighten up a little bit. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah, he calls Knoxville shitbird. Are we just going around calling people shitbird now? Is that like maybe he just wasn't in a very good mood that day?
I think he's a little hungover, maybe. Yeah,
a little hungover. But yeah, they succeeded though. You know what? For all things considered, the tooth didn't like break in half or some like rip part of his gum out. It was pretty clean, as bad as it ended up being at the end. So I don't know. I guess points for that. It was a clean pull. Looks like a clean pull. And at the end of the day, we got to see Ehren with a big gap in his smile, and
that's how we know him. Yeah,
that's how you know him. Like exactly. So you got that image now. Mission accomplished, guys. What do you think you would rate this sketch overall, though? What are you going with on this one?
I can start on this one. I think that the buildup and everything around it, I'm on the fence as to whether this one landed well, or again, I talk about this a lot, whether the kind of subdued punchline is part of the joke. But I liked the setup. I liked the premise. I liked Pontius. Even the fact that Bam was miserable kind of added to it. I think I actually liked this one more than maybe I initially thought. I'm going to go with an 8.5 out of 10.
Interesting. Yeah, see, for me, I feel bad kind of giving the score now that I was planning on giving because I didn't know the whole backstory and how much effect it actually had. But I do have to go with my initial things. Like, it was good. It wasn't bad. It's like dead smack in the middle of the range. I could do with it. I could do without it. It's a 5 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, it's a good time. And I just think that overall I don't know. It didn't have me like laughing out loud like apple of my ass, which was just like because of the sheer ridiculousness of what that was and like the things that occurred in it that were unexpected. I gave that a higher rating.
Yeah.
But this, it was all about the setup for me, getting excited about the setup. It was about the little things they did in production to make it work, like the long string and everything. And it was just well crafted and well put together. But I probably wouldn't go, just in the grand scope of the movie, I probably wouldn't go over like a 6.9 out of 10. I think is probably where I'm going to sit with it. But a good effort all around. Like, it's a solid sketch. It's just like, it's overshadowed by a ton of other good shit.
Question for you guys. I'm curious. When you guys are rating these stunts from Jackass 3D specifically, are you rating them on a curve relative to the rest of the movie or a curve relative to the entirety of all of Jackass's stunts?
I just rate them to how I feel in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think about this. I don't think about that. I'm like, when I talk about it, did I have fun talking about it? Did I feel the vibe? Like, I don't rate it till right before I'm about to rate it. I'm not like all technical like you, fucking nerd.
That's fucking fair, man. I'm okay with that. I just think like when I rate them, it's sometimes I think of the whole scope of the movie because I want at the end of this, I want to know like when I watch this film, which parts stood out to me the most.
So more relative to the movie as opposed to all stunts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm actually more all stunts in general because I think the movies are they're all really good and I don't want to dock a stunt points just because it was in a movie if it's better than some of the stunts I've seen on the TV show. But that's just a little point of clarity I was just curious about.
Fair enough. We have no rules. We just do whatever the fuck we want over here, I guess.
Since you guys called out my little cloud water, like that, like saying it was milk, you've convinced me, like psychologically, that my water's gross and disgusting, and like I'm taking sips and I'm like, ugh. But it's just straight up normal water out of the tap with ice. It should be delicious, and like it's like you guys have like got that in my head. It's tripping me out.
I don't know if I'd call it delicious. It's water. It's passable. It's not. Water's not delicious.
Is there something wrong with it, or is it just?
No, I think there is. It looks like Preston Lacey's sweat.
That's why they like.
Oh yeah, it does look like that. Oh man. Yeah, dude.
That's literally what it looks like. Fuck.
Oh, I love when Chris gags. It's honestly,
I didn't expect
10
that.
out of 10. Dude. I rated it 10 out of 10.
It's all right, man. In one end, out the other, I always say. And so does Bam Margera, apparently, boys, because hey, looks like Papa's got a little bit of a pee fetish, if you know what I mean. So we're peeing on guys now. That's what we're doing. We're peeing on guys.
Peeing on guys.
What are we doing here, folks?
I love this montage.
This is like first-person shooter dick right here. Whip it out. Equip the PP7 and let's fucking go.
The PP7, that is amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed this, if maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Bam Margera pees as a defense. And what I mean by that is he'll pee on you. He'll pee on you to get the upper hand. But then if you come after him, as Preston does, because he's the first victim of this, he tries to punch Bam in the dick, and Bam's response is, well, fuck it, man. I still got half a bladder. I might as well use this. That's his defense. He doesn't run away. He doesn't fight back. No, he fights with his cock.
Yeah.
And
I think eventually if you're attacking someone and they're peeing on you, you're running away from them. Like as long as they continue to pee, you're like, I'm going to come back at a later time because right now I'm only going to hurt myself.
You might have won the battle, but you haven't won the war.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, indeed.
But you're just going to stand there and keep trying to pee on the guy? I mean, like, you're putting yourself in grave danger.
Well,
balls are...
You can't stop peeing, right?
No.
So it's got to come out somewhere. I'm aiming it at the person attacking me.
Well, you've never done a cutoff before? You're telling me you never had to cut the stream early? Like
I can't. I physically
emergency?
can't cut the stream.
Oh, Chris, can you cut the stream? You ever had to cut the stream?
I've had to, and it's something that I hope I never have to do again.
It's terrible.
It's the worst.
It's terrible.
It's possible. It's definitely
wrong.
possible, but it's not good.
I would never even try it. That seems miserable to me. Sometimes, did you guys ever used to do the thing? I totally forgot I ever used to do this. But when you were peeing, you would purposely pinch it off so that it would build up a little bit of like, it would hurt a little, and then you'd let go because it was so satisfying when it would come back out.
What?
I think that's the most fucked up thing you've ever said on the podcast.
Why would you want to make your pee hurt a little? Is this where it's like your safe word developed? Like what in the actual?
No, it's not. So it wasn't the pain I enjoyed. It was a relatively small amount of pain, but the relief you got when you let it go was like the best.
Was it like, sexual in nature, Mikey? Like when
no, you can't pee with a boner. But
isn't it just enough for you to just?
You definitely pee with a boner.
You're not supposed to be able
naturally.
To.
What? You're not supposed to be able to pee with a boner.
I pee with a boner every morning.
You just got to push it down.
Yeah, you just like go like 4 feet back, and you have to like hunch over.
No,
you do. You go on your tippy toes. You kind of lift the ass into the air. You get like a bit of an angle.
Physiologically, you're not supposed to. It's supposed to cut off.
That's
you're not supposed
not true at all.
No, 100%.
Mikey
that's true.
didn't read the part of the textbook that said physiologically real men can pee.
Exactly.
Maybe real men can. You're not supposed to be able to. It's supposed
to
cut off. It's supposed to go to the other two. No, but it was less about the feeling of pain. It's like one of the best feelings in the world is when you have to go pee so bad. Like, you know, the feeling where you're like, I gotta go. And then you go, that's the greatest feeling in the world. And you could self-impose that on you by pinching off, waiting 10 seconds and then going again. Try it out. It's fun.
No, I don't think I'm going to.
I'm good.
All right. I'm good. Well, this is the point in the podcast where I would ask someone to edit this out, but I have responsibility and I'm leaving it in. I don't give a fuck.
No, Mikey doesn't pee as a defense. He pees as an offense.
I pee as an offense. Exactly. I take control.
Yeah.
You guys notice that
to get maximum force.
The last pee that Bam did, the one on Tremaine, like that was straight like hungover morning piss. It was like fucking iced tea colored. Yeah.
It was so funny because this whole
thick, man.
Some of them were clear, some of them were more yellow.
Lacey, he pees on
Kaiser Sose over here.
He pees on Trip Taylor, and I was like, honestly, I had that as a note. I said, for someone who's probably hungover the time, all the time, his piss is remarkably clear. And then immediately you see Jeff's, and it is thick. It's like a viscous yellow piss. It is gross. It's like someone put lemon Jello in the microwave and then poured it out on someone.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything worse though than the death from above. Trip Taylor when he gets the stream from above. Like just imagine being rained on with piss unexpectedly like that. Because for a second you might just think it's raining out.
Yeah.
It's happened to you before.
Yeah, when I was in fucking Ukraine watching the England-Swedish game,
dude.
Like I snuck into the England support section and they're fucking pissing on us from the upper, we're in the corner thing. They're throwing fucking beer on us, pissing on us. At first you're like, that's beer. And then you're like, that was a little too warm. The hell was that? You felt sprinkles. Yeah, man, it was fucked up.
That's so fucked up.
But you were so hyped up in the moment, you literally actually surprisingly did not care in the slightest bit.
Am I on Putin's side now all of a sudden?
No, it wasn't the Ukrainian fans, it was those fucking Swedes.
Okay. Well, the Swedes did?
Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't have expected that from them.
Everybody hates the Brits out there.
I think my favorite part about this segment, we're not going to give this one a review just because it is more of an interstitial, but the best part about it is how, and only Jackass can do this. Objectively speaking, we are watching a dude piss on other dudes, but it always devolves into giggling and laughing and friendship. And there's only the Jackass crew can make pissing on each other like a sentimental, loving thing. It's the funniest thing. Everyone's kind of like mad, but they're like, oh, that was a good one, man. Oh shit, you pissed right on my face. That's fucking great. Everyone's laughing. Everyone's having a good time. It made me, not that I'd want to get pissed on, but if I'm going to get pissed on, I'd want it to be in this context.
Or
try it in the soccer context. It's kind of exhilarating.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
It's kind of exhilarating. Yeah. Just kind of. I guess, it's I guess, Chris, that we could say you'd be seeing more than one set of balls at that soccer game.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I want Swedish balls. I've never seen a pair of
Swedish meatballs.
I wonder if they're different.
Yeah.
Are they different? Can you report?
They all the guys that were peeing had extremely small penises. I'm just going to put that out there. So I think those Swede losers, even they're like tough guy, like, soccer hooligans, small penises.
I think we used to have like 0.3 listenership out there, but that's probably not a thing after this episode.
No, 0.3 was their size.
Yeah.
Say goodbye. Say goodbye to that 0.3.
Chris and I just racing to get there.
I know.
Shriveling up and hiding away for a sunny day. But listen, guys, this next one it's perfect. It's perfect. I mean, in what situation can we have Ape, Phil, and another ape? 2 apes in one sketches? Who would have expected? Who would have expected this? I mean, this is a fucking treat. I love this. We got Ape and Phil making an appearance in the movie here. They're going back to their hotel room, and what better way than to hide Chris Pontius? He's the plant here in the hotel room in full gorilla costume, and not only that, but we've got Will Oldman as well, who is acting as the stereotypical gorilla trainer. And I can just say that to you, and you already know what he's fucking wearing. You know what he sounds like, what accent he's doing. He's that guy.
He's dressed like Jane's dad from Tarzan.
Thank you. And they're in the hotel room, right? They get in there. Bam and Ryan let them in, and then they shut the door, and they're holding it shut. So there's no escape now, because they're on like a top floor here. Even if you wanted to jump out the window as an escape plan, I'm sorry, Phil. You can't fly. It ain't going to happen. Now, This is gold, because they walk in, and a couple seconds later they hear a noise. They look over, and there's this big gorilla, posturing, beating its chest. And I'm kind of not really sure if they're freaking out because they think the ape is real at this point, or if they're just concerned that an insane person is in their hotel room in a gorilla suit, and they think they're about to get murdered.
I don't think. Sorry. My whole voice just changed. See, I think
it's because you're drinking all Preston Lacey's sweat.
Don't even say that. Don't.
Put hair on your chest.
So, why the hell can't I talk anymore? That's so weird. Anyways, I don't want it. Like, to me, I think they think it's real. And
what are you? Okay, I thought you were gonna take. Okay, no, go on.
Because what? They've had real crocodiles in their house. They've had every different type of animal in shitty situation. When you're in that quick situation, you're not, especially at the jump. After a certain time, maybe things change a little bit. But what in the world would give them the reason to think there wasn't a real gorilla when they've already had a fucking crocodile inside their kitchen and all these different things? So I think when you pop in, something startles you. You don't have the time to be like, trying to get the details. You're in and out.
Here's the problem. I think maybe the initially they see it and they're like, oh shit. But the setup around it with Will Oldham, who's, by the way, a singer-songwriter, if you recognize this guy, it's because he was in the Can't Tell Me Nothing music video with Zach Galifianakis. Do you remember that music video? Where like two country bumpkins on a farm, and it's like Can't Tell Me Nothing, and they're acting all gangster. No? Anyway, go look it up. It's very funny. But he's not a good actor, and he's pretending to be an animal control person, and Pontius can only pretend to be a gorilla so much. He's still just a dude in a gorilla suit. Tell me Ape and Phil haven't seen gorilla suits in real life. They're all over the first 3 seasons of Jackass. So I agree. Maybe initial reaction, they're like, oh my God. But look at Ape's face. She's not panicking. And if you actually believed this were a gorilla that were acting out, you wouldn't let it walk right up to you and then look kind of to the camera of like, oh, should we go? She's so clearly acting. This one is so clearly fake. This is I can't believe this stunt made it into the movie. This one is awful in my mind.
I loved it.
I maybe I'm missing something, but like
or maybe I'm missing something. A fucking one of those extra chromosomes. I genuinely loved this. It made me so happy. I thought it was funny.
Jay, did you think this one was Jesus Chris? Every fucking time. Have we ever made it through a podcast where you haven't dropped a water glass?
Well, I put things on the ground because you tell me I can't have them on the table.
Don't blame me. You can't blame me for this shit. You're dropping water bottles. I am on the other side of the city.
Well, it's your fault.
Jay, do you side with Chris on this one? You think this one's real?
I don't know what to believe, because there is a point where Ape says in the hallway afterwards, I've never seen a gorilla before. Like, she was actually excited to have seen a gorilla. There might have been a part of her that thought that they had like a trained gorilla and it wasn't, just some wild gorilla. And that's why she was maybe holding back and was like not scared. Like, she saw the trainer and thought, oh, okay. Because she's seen animal experts in all over Jackass. Maybe she thought, okay, trained gorilla, it's not going to fuck with us. But I also don't know, because you've seen those gorilla suits, maybe like on film and the way we see it. Okay, you can mistake it, but they're up close with the thing. I mean, you got to see some seams, or like you could see Pontius's eyes underneath the mask. I don't know. It's really hard to know for sure if they were just playing into it. I don't know what the fuck's going on. All that I do know is that Phil Margera is not scared of death. This man prioritized taking a mean shit over protecting his wife, for one.
Yeah. That's You said Bam's defense mechanism was peeing. Phil's is shitting.
Shitting.
Apple doesn't fall far from the Phil.
So they come back in the hotel to find him after the whole gag's off. They've revealed it's Pontius, but where's Phil? They go back in and he's just shitting there, and they bring the camera in and he's like, I had to take a mean shit. It was coming out like.
Because he literally was so scared of the gorilla, it scared the shit out of him.
I read it the opposite way. If it literally scared the shit out of you, you would have just shit your pants and you would have run out of the hotel. This feels like a setup.
Or just shit on the floor, like intimidate the gorilla. Show him this is your territory. You're not scared of him.
Yeah. If you believe it's a real gorilla, shit on the floor and blame it on the fucking gorilla when everyone comes back in.
There you go. Who's going to know? Who's gonna know? They shit like humans anyway.
To me, it's less about the conjecturing of would Ape have believed this is real, or would Phil have believed it was real. To me, it's like, Chris, you always say you're like, I can read people. I have a read on people. I can't believe that you watched Ape's reaction and thought that it was real. It was so acted out. And we've seen enough of her through Viva La Bam and through rewatching Jackass, I think, to know when she's genuinely upset and genuinely scared, as opposed to when she's putting it on, because she definitely does that sometimes. And in this one, to me, was like, you guys got zero good reaction, like zero real authentic reaction. And it's all acting. It's all fake. I'm like, this is one of the worst Jackass stunts I've ever seen.
You're diabolical there, Mikey.
What are you talking about?
You know me so well that, see, I'm playing into this fucking thing over here to piss you off. But you challenged my own ego, and I do have a good fucking read on people. Yeah, so now that you said that, I have to defend myself, and of course I don't fucking think this stupid thing's real. I have a way better read on people than this shit, but I was trying to have some fucking fun, and I couldn't let the world know that I... Did you do that? I thought you did that on purpose just to get me fucking rid of it.
No, I knew you would have to answer one way or another, because you do try to get a rise out of me, and I know that, and I know you always take a lot of pride in your uncanny ability to read people. Like the time you had an ultrasound and you asked what was wrong on your ankle, and the ultrasound person gave you a reaction and said, I read people. I know I have cancer in my ankle, and you didn't have cancer in your ankle, but you were so obsessed with it based on their reaction. That's the thing I think about most when you talk about your ability to read people.
Well, maybe I did, and it just went away because I prayed it away.
Do you guys want to give this one a rating?
Sure.
All right, Jay, why don't you start off? You haven't started a review in a while.
Alrighty. So the gorilla, it's like I said, I'm kind of like, I'm with you, Mikey, that I feel like it, even if you're scared in the moment and you think for a couple of seconds, maybe that's a real fucking gorilla and maybe that's a real trainer, eventually you're going to find out. But regardless of that, it's still fun. Like, it's still fun to see Bam's parents freaking out. I think it was better when they had the real crocodile, though. Like, that was a way better reaction when Ape's in the kitchen. I think that was the second movie or the first.
It was the first movie.
Remember.
And I also notoriously said that I thought that was, she was putting that reaction on as well.
You did, yes. But regardless of if it's real or not, in that sketch, her reaction is better.
Yeah.
Like, if it is acted, it's way better than here. Here, it kind of like, it's on and off. Like, they were kind of like tired, or they like weren't expecting this, and like maybe they knew, oh, this is just bullshit. So I don't have the energy for this, Bam. I got to take a mean shit. It's already coming out. And on that note, have you guys ever had a mean shit like that where you had to like abandon your post in the middle of something important because it was coming out? You ever experienced that? Because I've done that at work.
Oh,
You're not supposed to abandon your post at work in my line of work, but sometimes you just got to fucking go.
Yeah. I've been there for sure. Had you guys
I do it before the podcast almost every single time.
That's
you're
true.
late for the podcast because you shit. It's like Josh Allen, how he throws up before every football game. Chris has to diarrhea before every podcast.
Every single time. Mikey literally texted me. This is how I might text you. He goes, all right, it was like we were recording at 11. He's like, it's like 10:35. He's like, all right, get your diarrhea out of the way now.
I did.
So you're on time. I swear to God.
I did.
But I can't time it. It's not like something I want to do. It just, it needs to cut it close and make it feel risky, I guess.
Yeah. So we've all been there. Back to the rating. That part alone, the reason I bring it up, it was like the best part of the sketch for me, is coming back to see Phil taking a shit in the middle of this crisis situation is just fucking golden. And that's like a Phil moment. And I'm glad he had his moment in the movie, because for me, that was it. It's not enough to send this over the top and be the best sketch ever. But I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10 just for Phil making me laugh.
I agree with you on that Phil part, Jay, because whether that was staged or not, that had to be thought up. If it was organic, even better. But even the fact that someone actually thought to throw that into there, like, hey, we have this gorilla, they're all scared, this crazy situation. What could make it better? If for some fucking reason we pan back and Phil's just taking a dump as if nothing happened. Like, whoever thought of that, if it was thought about, that still deserves the props, because I thought that was comedy gold. I did like it. Like, I went back on it, but I did actually like the sketch. I thought it was funny. I'm giving it a 6.9 out of 10.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
So if someone did think, hey, what would be funny, and pan back and Phil was shitting, that is funny in concept, but that is not Jackass. That's not what we should be doing with Jackass. I think the whole thing was a setup. I think the whole setup failed. Sometimes you just got to let a stunt go. There's no ironic comedy to this one, even in the sense of like, grass sledding, like corn sledding for Ryan Dunn, is so bad that maybe you can imagine it being good because it's such a fail. This is try hard with no result. The acting is poor on behalf of the trainer.
Pontius was fantastic.
Pontius is good. Pontius's acting is good, but everything else is bad about this one. There's nothing redeeming. This is maybe my least favorite Jackass stunt I've ever seen. This is a 0 out of 10.
Wow. Well, I mean, you can say that, Mikey, but you're wrong, because 2 people thought it was half decent. So
no,
Nana boo boo.
Yeah,
Nana boo boo indeed.
Damn it! You know what? Fuck, I thought I had something witty to say, but the nana boo.
It throws people right off there. Hey, you know what is funny? I was sitting there at work yesterday, and you know that song, "Ching Chang, ooh, bang bang, walla walla, bing bang." It was like came into my head. I started singing, and then everybody was singing it, and we're like, "What movie was that from?"
Rugrats.
No, it was. I thought it was like
Simpsons.
A Disney movie type situation.
Simpsons.
No, it's just a real song.
Yeah,
like, it was like a recording artist song. I thought it had to be tied into some kind of like Disney like cartoon or something along those lines.
It was featured in the Rugrats movie, but it was a real song prior to that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, just had to drop some knowledge on my homies.
So we all just took a piss break, and I was thinking when I stepped up to the bowl,
did he pinch?
Should I try the pinch? And I almost felt compelled, but I said on the show I wasn't going to do it, so I didn't do it. But then I realized something else, guys. You ever leave a rubber band out in the sun for too long?
Yeah.
Crumbles, loses its elasticity. It doesn't work the same as it used to. What I'm saying here is there might come a time, boys, when we won't have a choice to pinch.
Yes, that's true.
Because prostates are not forever.
They are definitely not forever.
So whether I like it or not, one day the pinch is coming. The pinch is coming for me. That's what's happening. And just like this bubble is coming for you, we've got Will the Farter to make another Another return appearance here to blow a bubble out his ass, and Wee Man's right there catching snowflakes on the tongue. He's ready, mouth open, looking to the sky, and he pops that bubble with his tongue. Nice touch, Wee Man.
Love it.
I wonder if the inside smelled like farts. I can only
or
imagine.
if it smelled good because bubbles are made of soap.
The worst is when you have a stink that's trying to be overpowered by a good smell, but you can smell it fighting through. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to go into that. It's like spraying air freshener, right, over a bad shit. It just smells like shit and cinnamon, and that's Is that better?
No, and we all know those stinky people that put on too much cologne, and it's just the most off-putting thing in the world because
Well, if only you could hide from smells, then Johnny Knoxville would be. He'd be golden, my friends. Johnny Knoxville is the Invisible Man, and he's painted to blend into a rainbow and a tree. So there's this big background they've got, and Knoxville, he fits perfectly. If he stands in the right spot, you almost can't really see him. It's pretty good camo. I'm impressed, but let's see if we can fool a live bull, and that's what we're going to do here. So this is great because initially the bull comes out, and it's not really quite so sure, but then you see Knoxville flinch a little bit, and it's fucking on. Like, he gets his bell rung pretty quickly by this thing.
Well, not really quickly, though. That's the thing. Like, it isn't the bull not seeing him. He's painted from the front. And when the camera is perfectly aligned, like, him being invisible is for us, not for the bull, which is still good. He's doing his best Gotcha, somebody that I used to know impression, if you've ever seen that music video. But it's clear the bull can see him. The bull just doesn't really care. This is the most beta bull I've ever seen in my life. It was seeming like it wasn't going to even hit him at first.
Yeah, he's definitely the Ferdinand of the bulls.
He is definitely the Ferdinand.
Okay, fair enough. I do like it though when he tries to jump over the bull and it takes him in the knees because holy shit, he's like instant backflip and the landing. I do not like this part though. He lands on his neck.
Yes.
And you never want to see that.
He lands on his neck, and if you slow it down, the bull kicks him in the head as he's in the air, which I didn't see until I went back and watched it because I was like, Knoxville lands on his neck all the time, but it seemed like his bell was rung worse than usual on this, and it's because as the bull leaves him, it kicks out and hits him straight in the head. Like this was one of the worst concussions I think that Johnny's probably had. And he also he did this one before Roller Buffalo, on the same day.
Oh,
even though Roller Buffalo was earlier in the movie, so he did Roller Buffalo like very clearly not in a good headspace, literally.
Oh my god!
I just love how the foot mark above the rainbow.
Oh my god! Yeah,
you're like, holy shit! He got up there, man.
He did a full 360. He did the what's the long jump, the flop, the
high jump.
You guys? No, oh sorry, the high jump. What's the guy's name?
You know a high jumper?
Yeah, the Fosbury flop. He like changed the game for. Like everyone used to long jump and try to like move their legs over it. And he's like, no, if I go backwards, and he just changed the game completely.
You remember the Mexican roll tactic? You have to get the waiver to do that one.
Oh, like jump over and
you
then
do like a front flip kind of thing. That's way more efficient for me. Remember we were doing high jump in the basement that day and I was able to jump over it with my height?
Yeah.
You jump up and then you just kind of, we did weird shit in the basement.
This is before cell phones, kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the good old times. We held up a little blanket, and then we kept going up and up and see who could pass it. And that's when I was doing the Mexican roll. It was sweet.
I liked it. Ultimately, to go back to the stunt quickly, I think that this one falls a little bit flat. It kind of proves that what we're looking for in a bull stunt isn't Johnny Knoxville getting hit really bad. It's something more. There has to be a bit more fun and dressing there. And the Invisible Man thing is a funny conceit. But it's so hard to live up to the Toro Totter, which was in Jackass 2. And all I could think of when I'm watching this is like, man, we have a much better version of a bull stunt than this one. So I don't know that this one quite did it for me. Are you guys in the same boat?
I agree.
Yeah. It's short-lived. I think the gag is fun. Like the whole paint me up and blend in thing was cool. It was a nice touch. And you're right, though. Like, he gets hit. It's a nasty hit, but unfortunately, maybe not as memorable as some of the other bull stuff, like you said, which sucks because he got really injured on this one. So, yeah.
Doesn't that seem to be the theme of this movie? It's like the things that don't really land get the worst injuries, and that's not a good thing for a movie.
No, because when you look at I would rate Johnny Knoxville's magic trick one from Jackass Forever with the bull higher than this one because the impact looks as bad as it actually is. And that makes everything else around it not matter quite as much. So I'm going to go into my review of this one, if you guys don't mind. I think as far as bull stunts go, I mean, we all know Chris doesn't think bulls are a staple of Jackass. He said that once. He said that many times on this podcast. And it's strange that we keep seeing bulls on this podcast.
Fake news.
I still liked it. You know, the image of Johnny as an invisible man standing in front of the painted thing was funny, even though if it was a little bit disjointed from the rest of the stunt. I'm gonna give this one though a 6.9 out of 10. I think we've seen a lot better bull stuff. Kudos to him though for taking a big hit, but I would have liked it to have had a bit more of an impact visually.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair. I'll just jump into real quick and say that on this one, I'm pretty much with you, Mikey, that it is what it is. Like, props to Knoxville is all I can say. Like, holy shit, man. You've done so many fucking bull sketches.
Yeah.
And, like, he just keeps coming back. Even when he's already, like, probably too old to be doing the shit, he still does it.
Oh, yeah.
And even if it is not the best bull sketch, you got to give him props for doing it because, like, no one else is stepping up to do that. And holy shit, ouch. I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10 just because, like, I appreciate Knoxville's effort and I like the gag up front, but I just wish it was more memorable because I had completely forgotten about this until watching it again. So,
True.
Yeah.
I'm going a 5 out of 10, middle across the board.
And that's because you don't like bulls and Jackass, right, Chris?
That is not true.
They don't belong.
Oh, I mean, I'm just connecting the dots.
I can neither deny nor confirm these allegations.
Oh, okay. I
mean, which is do not belong.
Always notoriously a positive answer, right? I can neither confirm nor deny. That's always. Yeah. Which, and only innocent people ever plead the fifth.
Of course. That's why it's there to protect your rights as a human being.
Jay, just to touch on one quick thing you mentioned in your review, you're like, you know, and maybe he's a bit too old to be doing bull stunts, like even to this day. It's wild to think that when this movie came out, people were already thinking, you know, the Jackass crew are too old to be doing this shit. Yeah. And then 10 years after that, they do it again. That's wild.
Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot that because it has been overshadowed by Forever, where you're right. That was the conversation. Like, they're doing another one? Like, nobody believed it.
Exactly.
I thought, holy shit, this has got to be the last one for sure. But you know, when you watch it back, you're not even thinking of that anymore, right? No. Like, I wasn't, It's they look young by comparison to how we know them now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, Chris, this next one, I guess you could say the enemy of my enemy is also my enemy. We got to get Bam into a pit of snakes ASAP. And that's what we're going to do. And I remembered early on, I was wondering when this was going to come up because I remember they did this to Bam. And I think we talked about this in the podcast. We thought it was happening in like Jackass 1 or 2. But it's here. Yep. This is the false floor that they're going to fill. It's an 11-foot pit. It's deep. So he's not going to be able to get out, and they're filling it with rubber snakes. Okay, easy enough. That'll give him a good, spook when he falls in there. But the thing that Bam doesn't know is once he's in there, they're going to load that motherfucker up with real snakes. So I love that there's layers here because, like an ogre, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. One of the greatest cinematic experiences of all time. Can we say that? Hey, shout out to my Shrek heads, huh? Yeah,
like an
ogre. My Shrek heads out there. Yeah,
there are many. They are many for sure.
Yeah. What was I talking about?
I don't know.
I'm going to get right into things because this is just
okay. Go for it, Chris.
Wait. Oh. Before you do, can I say one more thing?
Is it about Shrek?
Not anymore.
Okay.
The setup for this is that Bam was going to do another Rocky, right?
Yeah. On Jeff.
And this is kind of like karma because he's been fucking everybody up with these cheap shots. To see him fall in, there's a little bit of justice there. I actually felt good seeing him fall in.
I totally agree with you on that.
Not
Chris, please jump in, take it away.
That's like taking it from a 1 to a 10. Like this is, especially knowing this is those fears. If that happened to me and it was fake snakes, and they never even added the snakes, that would be enough to break me mentally completely. Then you start throwing it, you finally are dealing with that relief. Like, it's no wonder Bam is an alcoholic. Like, if this happened to me, I would be mainlining speedballs right into the fucking veins just to get rid of this trauma. Like, this is so fucked. I would just become a heroin addict. Like, I don't care about this because and for him to get out of it I would have immediately knocked the fuck out of Knoxville. Like, I would be hitting everybody except for Dunn, who, when he pulls him up, Dunn was... This is how bad you know it was. Dunn wasn't laughing, and he seemed very sad, and he was just like, Bam, I'm really sorry about this. You know, like, we had to do it. Like, he was his cadence was completely off because he knew this was crossing the line.
Dunn was stoic as fuck. He comes after, like Bam looks up at the camera and says, "Don't do this to me," with tears in his eyes. It's the most desperate thing I've ever heard on a Jackass set. And Dunn comes in so stoic and just reaches his, in my mind, it's like the Carl Weathers or Arnold Schwarzenegger arm from Predator when they do that power high five. Just this strong, manly arm lifting him up with one hand. He's smoking a cigarette in his other, lifts Bam out. Like, what a knight in shining armor Ryan Dunn was in this moment. But he's not, I don't agree fully with you, Chris, because he ends up, I'm pretty sure it's him, he ends up throwing a rubber snake on Bam later. So he's still kind of in on the idea that, like, this is a stunt. We're here to get a reaction. He just kind of had it in his mind. He's like, okay, Bam's not reacting anymore. The stunt's over. Let's get him out of here because now this is just trauma.
Yeah, if you go back and look at it, you'll see the way he apologized right when he pulls him out. Like, it was the most, like, genuine thing I've seen.
It was genuine. No, he definitely felt it, but he wasn't. I don't think he regretted having done it to Bam because he's the one who. Chris, I know that you said that you think that this was a step too far. And at first that was my reaction, especially when Bam is doing the desperate. Like, we've seen how bad snakes affect him. And I don't love the idea of fucking with phobias. It just seems like it's a little bit out there. But you also mentioned, Chris, earlier in this movie that Bam is the pranks that he's pulling behind the scenes are kind of crossing a line as well. Like this, I'm thinking in particular, the one with the medicine ball where he smacks Novak in the face. It's like, that isn't funny. That's just abusive. And kind of the Rocky is the same thing. The one that's kind of funny is the pissing, but even that is sort of lacking in imagination. Bam's been a shithead behind the scenes, and he's been miserable on set for some of the stunts. This one feels like, hey, dude, if you're going to be here and you're going to be fucking around, guess what? You're about to find out. Like, this is part of playing the game, and you got to pay the toll now.
Oh, yeah, I kind of have to agree.
That's why I don't play the game. No, but that's true though. Like, you wouldn't deserve it, but you also wouldn't be going around throwing water and punching people in the face and hitting people with medicine balls. He has. So I'm like, you know what? We have a panic button that we can use against you, and we're going to use it because you've earned it now.
Yeah, it's just so hard. It's the fear of this is so real. Like, I can't justify anything even coming remotely close to that. Like, it's just not, like, there's nothing you can say that makes me, like, understand that this is okay.
No, I get it. Because you're
it's a fucking snake pit. Not one snake. It's not the cobra in the first one where he's able to like finesse his way out. This is everybody with snakes' biggest fears when they clump together, and you're sitting there like it was like how like Ragnar fucking Lothbrok died in fucking Vikings.
Yeah. Spoiler.
Oh my god.
By the way, speaking of snakes and snake experts, which you seem to be one, Chris, that sounded sarcastic. It wasn't. But do you guys recognize the snake expert on set for this stunt?
Yeah, it's like Carl Weathers or whatever his name is.
It's not. It's someone different. His name is Jules Sylvester, a young Jules Sylvester. The last time we saw him was Silence of the Lambs. He was the one who brought the snake on set.
No, that guy?
Yeah, same guy.
Shit, I'm glad to see they keep giving these people their gigs after all these times.
100%.
Wow. Yeah.
I feel like there's an awkward moment though at the end of this stunt when it's like, okay, Bam's out of the snake pit. The snake pit still exists. There are a bunch of snakes in there. It would be like cleaning up after a bukkake. Like, the fun has been had, and now someone just has to get down and dirty. And like, what is the process of cleaning up a snake pit? How do you get them out? Someone has to do like the dirty work of passing it up an 11-foot. That's a process. That's got to suck.
Long stick.
Like, why do snakes why aren't they mad when they're just like chilling on top of each other? They're like different races of snakes too. It's not even like they're like it's not like they're all boa constrictors. They're like, oh, you're like my brother. They're like, you're like fucking 80 times my size. You got fangs. Like, you're fucking yellow and weird colored. You're like, why do they get along? Like, I don't understand it.
Chris.
They always just want to roll around and fucking snake orgies.
Things.
Fuck that shit. They're sketchy, bro.
We could learn a couple things about snakes. Jay, anything else to say about this one?
No, you guys pretty much hit it. I would leave snake pit with a solid. It's hard to watch because you feel bad for him a little bit, I guess, but he kind of had it coming. Mikey already said it, but yeah, it's tough to. It's tough to go higher for me, just personally on this one, than like a 7 out of 10, because like the setup is really good and they are fucking with Bam. And I think like a certain part of the crowd is going to hate that they're fucking with Bam. And then you have the other side of the crowd, and I'm talking about the audience, that feels like, fuck yeah, like he deserved that. Like I do feel like it's split because it's all dependent on how big of a fan you are of Bam Margera, I think, whether you're going to take his side or not. And for that, it's kind of polarizing. And I think that's actually pretty interesting in its own right. But overall, like seeing him cry on camera, it's not like, I think Knoxville thought that was going to be fun and this awesome moment, but it is kind of just sad. It doesn't make you feel very good for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to sit at 7 out of 10 because it is a big moment in the movie for sure. But yeah, that's where I stand.
Chris, what about you?
So I'm going really high, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is as memorable as sketches in Jackass are for me. This is one that will never be out of my mind. I always think about ultimately we're watching prank TV. We're watching these things and I have to take my own biases out because I don't want to be in it. But I think it actually adds to my excitement. When I saw this one coming up, it's like, it's like when you're watching a scary movie, but you're like covering your eyes, but you're looking between your fingers. Like I wanted to, my excitement level rose up because I know how much emotion this evokes out of me. Seeing him down there and seeing all these things. And then even just the after effects when he's being a pretty fucking good sport about it, So he's like sitting there and he's like, man, I just want to fucking book a ticket out of here. Like he's doing that, but he's like, everyone's laughing and he's kind of laughing even though he's still kind of crying. You know what I mean? Like I have to give him credit because I would not be, that would be my end of I would never be friends with any of those people ever again. And I'd probably be in jail because I'd be beating the fuck out of them all. But all in all, this is a powerful sketch. It had the bait and switch. It had emotion. It had it all. I'm going with a 9 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. I think I align more with Jay on this one. I'm happy that Bam got his comeuppance. I love the setup. I know that we're watching a prank show, but ultimately we're watching Jackass to have fun. And the reaction, as Jay said, with Bam crying isn't fun. And Johnny's reaction to Bam not reacting isn't fun either. You can tell Johnny's like, all right, I guess we're taking this seriously now. Fuck me, we're on a Jackass set. And I side with Johnny on that, but ultimately, I'm not watching a Jackass stunt to be taken out of the moment and think, oh shit, this Jackass stunt is or is not working. I don't want to analyze it on this meta level. And because it doesn't let you sit in the pocket and either enjoy the awkwardness or laugh at the comedy around it, because it's kind of removing you and you're watching it from like the outside, questioning whether it's good or bad. That's not what I'm here for a Jackass one for. I'm going to give it a 7 because I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just didn't get the reaction that I wanted it to get.
Fair enough. No, and I see where you're coming from, man. It's too bad that because like I don't know how to not react, but how to feel, I guess, about when you see Bam Margera in distress like that. It is very confusing, isn't it? Like, don't you just feel conflicted? You're kind of like, well, he deserves it, but this is a grown man crying over snakes, and like
it's like when the bully gets his comeuppance and cries, and you're like, well, of course the bully's gonna cry because
word you start using comeuppance. Who the hell?
Comeuppance. It's
the first time I'm like, did I hear that correctly? And you use it like 3 times.
You get your just desserts. It's like of course the bully's going to cry because bullies are bullies because they're flawed and self-conscious. So you see the reaction and it just never feels like what you want it to feel like. You're like, oh, there's a human crying now, right? I understand why they're assholes. Still, they were assholes, but it never feels good to see them in that state.
I love seeing them in that state.
Yeah.
Okay,
to be honest, I really do. The more they cry and the more they're broken, the better. Because you know what? Fuck you. You ruin people's lives, you dick.
I guess there's levels of bully, though. Bam is a little shithead who crosses the line sometimes. I'm talking more that as opposed to a bully that's ruining kids' lives.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Well, there's nothing that could cheer you up more than heading out to the old ball game. Yes, America's pastime. 2 balls and 1 strike here, boys. Yeah, I don't know what you think, but I think that's the count on the baseball cock with Chris Pontius. This is a great interstitial because for 2 reasons. Yes, we are going to We're going to try to bat a baseball with Chris Pontius's magnificent penis. But not only that, but we got a sensor bar over his dick, which when you see it in the movie, you're like, wait a minute, we're censoring stuff now? Yeah. This far into the movie? Why?
We've seen his dick already. Like, what's happening? Yeah.
And I love that it's a poorly timed sensor bar that just can't keep up with the swing of the cock. All of this, by the way, in slow motion, just to add to the effect. And
to the tune of Talkin' Baseball by Terry Cashman as well. It's amazing. The elation on everyone's face when Pontius makes contact with, I think it's the ping pong ball, and he hits it. You could tell they've been there trying for a while, and everyone with their friends has had these weird, like, hey, I wonder if we can do X with Y, and you're trying it and you get it and you're all ecstatic. It's just that in this context, it's like three grown men trying to hit a ball with their dick. The biggest takeaway from this one is when Pontius swings his dick and it hits the ball, his dick comes back and smacks his leg and ripples. There's a ripple across his leg. That's how powerful Chris Pontius's dick is. It is mesmerizing.
It's definitely a good amuse-bouche after the last one.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, good little palate cleanse.
And before we move on from this amuse-bouche, I do got to say that why? It's always Chris Pontius that he's like the first one in line for penis stunts. I don't know if anyone else is lining up, but think about it. Like, you had the ping pong paddle in Forever. You got this, you got the big Godzilla monster. It's like anytime it's like, we need a stunt penis. Who's it gonna be? It's him. And I don't know why it couldn't be anyone else.
Well,
I think he's just the most confident about his size, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you got fucking plastic tools, wooden tools, or metal tools, which one are you going to fucking use? You know what I
mean? I'm using a big flesh tool.
Oh.
Yeah, no one's sitting like no girl sitting there with her like dildo collection being like, I got 9, I got 8, I got 7. I'm going to go 3 today. Or maybe they do, I don't know.
Or maybe I have no fucking idea how much.
Thinking about this next sketch is giving me a metal tool right now. I can hardly contain my excitement for what is to come. You know, our friend Steve-O, it's said that he hates roller coasters. He hates bungee jumping. But what if we combine those two things into some sort of like a poo coaster? No, wait, that's not a good enough name for this. Wait, we've been in this territory before, boys. Yeah. Let me think back for a second. Shit, episode 1 of the Jackass podcast, we reviewed a little stunt at the very end of the episode by the name of the Poo Cocktail. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a bungee cord involved this time. Well, then let's call this one the Poo Cocktail Supreme. And Knoxville's not taking the hit this time because it was Knoxville in the original. Yes. Steve-O's going to ride the ride. And guys, this is, as they say in the film, 10 years ago to the day from the last Poo Cocktail, which is poetic in a way. It is poetic. They made it this far. Yeah. And god damn, guys, what are you feeling at the setup of this one?
I'm excited and I'm weirdly sentimental, which is wild because we're talking about a guy who's about to get covered in shit. And Johnny's clearly sentimental as well. He comes up with like a passing of the torch to Steve-O. It's like 10 years ago to this day, I did the same goddamn thing as you were doing. And Steve-O is, I don't know. What do you guys think of Steve-O's attitude with this one?
He's not excited.
Not at all.
As he rightfully should not be, right? I mean, I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be either, but
mostly because the inertia, not for other reasons.
Well, that's the funny thing is you're talking about a guy who's about to get like covered in shit, and the thing that's bothering him the most is that he's going to be bungee jumping and he's going to be claustrophobic in the porta potty. Like, he would have been just as pissed off to do this one if you just kept the porta potty and tipped it upside down and hung it by a string. Like, it's those concepts that are pissing him off, not the shit covered. But I get, JD, your point. Like, yes, of course he's not excited about this, but Steve-O's known for his showmanship, or he should be. And there's zero showmanship here. And Johnny looks like he's frustrated at times. He's trying to like bring out a reaction in Steve-O. And this also speaks to what we saw with Bam Margera in the last stunt. Johnny's there like, guys, the hard part's over. You did the worst part of it. Give us the reaction so we can sell this and have some fun with it. Like, Johnny would. And Johnny always does. unless he gets a golf ball to the throat. And I did sense some frustration on set from Johnny, because he's like, what the fuck is going on, guys? You're upset, but now you have to sell it and you're not doing that.
So, yeah, I mean, when you come in on this one, before we do the launch, just for the listener as well, when you're looking at this apparatus, because I didn't really describe it, you got two large beams planted into the ground, and between it, the bungee cord is actually holding the porta potty to the ground, and when they pull the release, it's going to shoot straight up into the air. Yes. So in case you forgot how this works. But yeah, the thing with this is that obviously everyone's tense. There's a lot of tension in the air before he gets in there. Thank God you got a good buddy on set who can just tell you to relax and enjoy your shit, says Chris Pontius. Just relax and enjoy your shit. Like, it is no big deal. He's trying to diffuse the situation, because I think he sees what Mikey's talking about, that it's not a good vibe on set right now, and we need someone to just get a laugh.
Did you get the sense, Jay, that Pontius was also a bit frustrated with Steve-O, though?
Possibly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I read into it that much or not, but it could be. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Do you think
I read that, but again, maybe I was just assuming too much.
Do you think, like, if the roles were reversed, Pontius would be all smiles, ready to go up in there? Or do you think he'd be like, "Oh fuck, I can't believe I'm doing this"? But
tough to say with Pontius, because Pontius isn't a stuntman, and he says that a lot, and he gets scared before he does stunts a lot. But if it were Johnny or if it were Danger Ehren, I think we would have had better pre-reactions to this one for sure.
All right. Well, Chris, where are you sitting on this one so far? Before we, 3, 2, 1 blast off this.
Yeah, I'm quiet because this never has done it for me. This is one of those ones that are like, out of all the big blockbuster type stunts, this is my least favorite one. You know, it really does not. I just don't have much to say. It's like, okay, he gets in, does it. We haven't got to the blast off part yet, but there's funny parts that has to do with that. But it just doesn't do it for me. I can't really explain why. It's kind of why I'm quiet. I don't know what to really say about it, other than the fact that it just doesn't do it for me.
Do you think you would have reacted better to it if? Because I honestly, Jay, I'm kind of in the same boat as Chris. This one always. Okay. I said this when we first started going into Jackass 3D. I watched this movie for the first time in theaters when I was very hungover, and I almost threw up when I saw the Poo Cocktail Supreme. But even then, I always remembered it as just kind of like a. I don't know if it's a trying too hard, or maybe it is just the fact that it's this big showy thing with no proper reaction. And maybe, like, Chris, do you think that if Steve-O were more game for it and we're selling it a bit more, and if the vibe on set were a bit better, you may have liked it more? Or is it just as a concept, this one was never going to work for you?
No, I like, this could use anything more, to be honest. So yeah, obviously I don't know if you had the best performance, even if it would really reach a high level for me. But we definitely need more out of Steve-O here. I think we needed more of a story arc or a build up or something along those lines, because it's very, okay, this is what it is. And it happens. And I don't think the payoff was great. I'm not a big Pooh fan. It kind of grosses me out. So it's not like, well, especially if it was like, Come, I think I would be laughing a lot, or even like fake cum.
No.
That would be awesome.
Would be so much worse.
Well, Jay, why don't you walk us through what happens and then give us your impressions of the stunt? I'm curious to hear, because it seems like you're a little surprised by our opinions on this one.
Yeah, no, I'm actually shocked, because this is one of the things everybody was talking about. Like, they even fucking parodied this by taking the footage and making it look like Britney Spears was going in there on like a late night sketch they did.
I remember that.
So it was clearly in the zeitgeist. People were talking about the Poo Cocktail Supreme because it's such an outrageous idea, and props to them for thinking of one idea that they could have just moved past. It was from season 1 of all things. Yeah. Just never talked about again. And they found a way to augment it and make it like this monstrosity. And I got to give them props for that. Whether you like the look of what's to come or not, and the sounds as well. Like, I want to talk about the sounds as well. I think you got to give them props for the ingenuity here, because, like, just look at what they did. Like, at the time, I remember this being a really popular clip on YouTube of seeing people not ride at Poo Cocktail Supreme, mind you, but you know those theme park rides where it's the same thing, where you sit in a chair and they bungee you. I remember that being like popular around the time where they do clips of people's reactions on YouTube of screaming and the 0G and all that shit. So, like, the fact that they put 2 and 2 together and made this thing, I think is impressive. But anyway, he gets in the porta potty, right? He's in there. They shut the door, and you can see he's just trying to control his breathing. He's a little nervous here, but when they send this thing off, they do the countdown. Someone pulls the release, and up it goes. Nothing's happening initially because if you understand physics, everything's as you move upwards, everything's straight down to the ground. It's not until we hit that peak until you see something happen from inside. Steve-O opens his mouth because naturally you would. You can't control this because if you've ever been on that type of ride, when you feel your stomach drop out, it's almost just like a automatic reaction to gasp for air, like, and that's when the shit comes out. So there's this beautiful moment where there's pieces of shit flying up, rising from the dead, and I can't imagine how much of that juice and stuff must have went into his mouth.
So much.
I think before they did this, they had to vaccinate him like against pretty much everything you could.
Well, they have to, because I remember in the original Poo Cocktail, Johnny had to call the doctor and be like, what do I have to be worried about? And they're like, don't open your mouth, earplugs, nose plugs, all that stuff. There's only so much you can do because you're right, Jay. You cannot not react when you're at a certain point in this. The poo is everywhere, and it's everywhere. Weirdly beautiful in a way. It's like floating and mesmerizing. It's like,
now you're seeing things my way. I
feel like this one would have looked really good in 3D. This would have been a proper use of 3D as well. And I don't remember off the top of my head because I think I was squirming in my seat when I was watching it. But yeah.
Yeah, and it is gross. I'm not going to say it's not. Like, it's liquid, it's solid pieces. You're seeing corns fly by. You can tell that this was not one human either. Like, when there's a shot of the camera, I don't know if it's probably not human shit that they used, but whatever they used, it's like, it's a variety pack, boys. This is a surprise bag. You're going to open that up, and there's going to be all sorts of treats and delicacies in there that you didn't ask for. And I got to tell you, though, the sound, I wanted to talk about that because there's the quiet of just a man rising up and the whooshing sounds of the wind, but it's when the slooshing starts happening, you can hear the water start to move as the acceleration comes down. And there's just sounds of like turds hitting plastic, rebounding, funks, and Steve-O just kind of like gasping for air. But it's strangely quiet in a way.
It is.
You notice that?
It is. I think it's because everyone... Well, one thing on set is they didn't have an engineer to figure out what could go wrong. It's basically just 2 cranes and elastics. So much could have gone wrong with this. They couldn't really do a proper test. I don't think they did a test, which is why no one expected the rain down of shit and piss to come from this porta potty when it happened. It started to rain down on everyone on set, which was an unexpected and I think kind of welcome addition to the stunt, because it was hilarious to see everyone running for their fucking lives and vomiting and getting rained on with piss and shit.
Yeah.
But I think some of the silence was probably like holding your breath, hoping that Steve-O doesn't fucking fly off into space in this porta potty.
Oh God, could you imagine then just orbiting the Earth in 0G with all that shit flying around you? Nightmare situation. Oh my God, guys. But the one thing that kind of stuck out to me is when you're hearing the sounds of the turds rebounding off the plastic casing, it's kind of like, it starts off slow, kind of like if you're driving into a rainstorm and you get a few drops on the windshield, and then suddenly it just it gets louder and louder, and those pings go from one or two every second to like 100 at a time, and it's just chaos in there.
You're in the heart of a hailstorm at that point.
You are a shit hailstorm. And when he finally, the thing is, like, it's not just like up and down, it's a bungee cord. So he's got an initial ride, but it's like every time he comes back down to the bottom, he's going back up for another trip. So he's basically just got to sit there and allow himself to be covered in wave after wave until it's safe enough to stop the thing and pull him down, which takes a little while. And I can understand at this point why you guys were feeling sick, because you're just sitting there watching it, and yeah, it's pretty gross.
And then it's funny because when he's on the ground, he's covered in shit. Because he's like, you have to get me down. You have to open the door as quick as possible. Because not only is he afraid of a bungee cord, he's afraid of claustrophobia. So he's claustrophobic as well. So they open up the door, but then they realize it's a mess in there. It is a crime scene in there, and he's in the middle of it, and no one's willing to get dirty and undo his buckles because he's strapped in there, except for our fucking knight in shining armor. Ryan Dunn comes back again, braves the smell, braves the stench. Fucking Carl Weathers' arm sticks into that porta potty and unlatches the safety thing. Yeah.
Yeah, from like outside the frame of the door too, like arm extended in, like I ain't going in there, but I'll help you out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, when Steve-O gets out, I mean, you know what happens next. The fucking chase is on, boys. He's running after everybody. And like the smell alone of that porta potty had to be enough when they opened the door. Imagine having like this poopy man just running across the field at you.
Yeah.
I'm glad he had it in him to do it. He does, you know, puke as he is ought to do at this point.
Well, he was probably just so happy to be on the ground.
Yeah.
He's probably. Your instinct would be to kiss the ground, but that ground is now filled with piss and shit. So probably not the best call to make.
So there you go. There you have it. The Poo Cocktail Supreme. I don't have anything witty or clever to say about it, but I like when Pontius summed it up and said that stunt was incredible. It had danger, it had shit, it had puke, it had sex appeal.
It's a very Pontius line. Put a button on it. I love it.
Yeah.
Jay, why don't you put a button on this one? You seem like the most eager of us. Why don't you lead us off with your review of this one?
Well, before you guys bungee off this mountain, I'm going to stand at the peak and give it a solid 9 out of 10 because I think I just can't. Like, at the start of this podcast, we established that I like this kind of shit.
Yep.
I think this is a good Pooh sketch. It's like the ultimate Pooh sketch. Now, Jay, why not a 10 out of 10? Well, look, I've said it once and I'll say it again. There's better things to me personally that had me laughing, like belly laughs. This didn't really get a belly laugh out of me. It was mostly just, gross. And like intrigue at the things that happen when you send a man on a bungee cord in a porta potty into the sky. You know, it's never been done before. So it's like being a kid again, you know, you get to experience something for the first time. Second time through, I still enjoyed it, but 9 out of 10, I think, is good. Just for the ingenuity alone of thinking of this fucking contraption is something. So, let's send the movie off on a high note before these two motherfuckers come in and stomp all over it. Here we go.
Chris, why don't you go? I think I'm probably going to be in the middle of the two of you, so I'll go last.
I was going to go like low, just because, like I said, it doesn't really do it for me. But I'm not going to lie, Jay, your breakdown of this and the details that you put into it actually made me see... My talking is really weird today. Made me see the light quite a bit.
All choked up.
I'm not emotional or anything, but I actually did appreciate a lot of the aspects you said with the sound and all these little things I wasn't thinking about. So I'm not, because I was going to go like 4 out of 10. I think I'm going to go a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
Okay.
Still pretty low.
Respectable,
I'm definitely higher than that. I think my first time through, I would have given it probably closer to a 6 because it made me sick and I just wanted to be done with it. But I love the spectacle. I think from the state of spectacle and like hodgepodge throwing together of as many assets that you can get on set, this one gave me the vibe, not of like a Jackass movie stunt, but like belt sander vibe, where it's like, let's just throw something together and hope it works. Like, this is held together with fucking duct tape. I wouldn't be surprised if they used duct tape at some point in this one. So I like that. It was like, it very much was a return to roots of just putting a stunt together with a little bit more of a budget than we'd have as friends grouped up. The one thing that I just can't get over is Steve-O's reaction as the prime person in this one. He should have given us something more fun to watch. But everyone else's reaction on sets, you know, when it starts raining down and everyone's vomiting and everyone's laughing at the fact that they didn't expect this to happen, it gave me a lot to enjoy about it. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. And I honestly, if Steve-O were more game, I would have given it probably closer to a 9, maybe even a 9.5, because I think it would have squeezed so much more out of this one.
Wow. Hey, you know, I'm actually impressed by you guys with that, because I was expecting the worst when we started this. I was thinking you were going down to like 2 and 3 territory.
No.
For some reason, I was expecting the worst, but no, that's good. I think like, yeah, I see your point on it too. That it's not for everybody, and it's going to turn your stomach a little bit too on top of everything else. So it's might be a hard one to love, but man, was it ever an experiment that I'm glad they fucking did and ended the movie with, rightfully so, because I think you could argue there might have been something better they could have put in this place. I'm sure you could have, but I think it's a solid ending. And we've seen on and off, usually not with the movies, but with the TV shows, sometimes they end on kind of a low note. And it's like, why'd they go with that? I think this was a solid closer. It left an impression on people for sure. And as I said, that actually closes the movie for us, with the exception of you got to have the ceremonial, you know, whole crew gets together to do one last big thing for you, and this is it. I love the setup, though. They're just in a room, and you can tell it's a set and that something's about to go down, because anytime you see these, like, nicely painted bookshelf in the background, lounge chair, so this is going to get fucking destroyed. They're all standing around a plunger, like not a toilet plunger, but the kind that you'd set off a big cartoon explosion with. And Knoxville says something sucky is going to happen when I push this plunger. Would you guys rather listen to Steve-O's rap album? Everybody starts cringing. Or should I push the plunger? And within seconds, everyone's like, no, just push it, which is a good touch. Yeah, nice little dig on Steve-O there.
It is, and when he pushes it, initially nothing happens. And right. I talked about how I believed that the gorilla was a setup in this. I firmly believe that no one, for the first time that Johnny pushed that plunger, because I think they filmed this scene a few times, for the first time he filmed it, I don't think anyone knew what was going to happen. And I think they were all anticipating it, because like Dave England's reaction is like, what the fuck? Like he's just, he's in his head. Maybe Johnny knew, but I think a lot of people on set didn't know whether it was going to be a big explosion or MacGuffin. Who knows? But that did add a lot of appeal to this one too. We got some good reactions.
Oh, totally. Yeah. He gives it a little kick and then you get the real fucking explosion. Now, before we talk about what happens here, and we will, I got to ask you guys, because it came up and I don't think we've ever talked about it as far as I know on the podcast. Have you heard Steve-O's rap album? What do you think of that? And I know it was a rocky period of his life. We all know that. He was doing a lot of shit and he was on a lot of shit when he recorded it. Have you ever seen the behind the scenes?
I haven't.
I should ask that as well.
I didn't even think the actual album ever came out. I think it got shelved. Like maybe there's like a song. Yeah, I'm like 95% sure.
Because I've heard a song about him. I don't know the name. It was so long ago, but it was about him smoking crack or something. And it might even be just a music video of the song, but there's like, I've seen footage of him in the studio recording the vocals for this, and you can see how fucked up he is. It's pretty. It's not a good sight.
It's out, by the way. You can find it
on.
I
gotta check it out, dude. Because even around this time too, when he wanted to be a rapper, there was like G Unit was doing like their like mixtape series, G Unit Radio. And they would always have like guest hosts. They'd have like LeBron James or whoever. And then Steve-O guest hosted one. And there was a pretty bad sketch where they're like, Steve-O's like, I'm the most dangerous, I'm the most dangerous people. Da, da, da. And they're like, we got a big prank for you, Steve-O. Say the N-word in front of us. Yeah, try to find that clip. It's very interesting.
Yikes.
Yeah, we may have to revisit that on the podcast at some point.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it was so long ago that I saw that footage of him recording in the studio, and I'm sure it's something he doesn't ever want to talk about or bring up or bring attention to.
No, he's talked about it on his YouTube channel before.
And on his podcast. Really? And he wants to do a redemption album, a rap redemption album. So whenever he has rappers on his podcast, he's like putting out the feelers, like, would you guys do a track with me?
Yeah, Steve-O owns his past quite a bit, and he's always willing to bring it to light and kind of like recontextualize it.
Okay, that's fair. Like, if he can stand and look at that and say, hey, that was me and I accept it, that's fucking big of him. And all I'm saying, though, is I saw that footage at some point or whatever, if it was a music video, like I said, it was so long ago, and it's just like to see him in that state, like you're kind of laughing because what he's singing about is absolutely ridiculous, but it's like he believes in that moment, and it's like, fuck, man, this guy's he's in a bad spot. It's rough. He
talked about like
so the fact that they can.
He talked about numerous times how, like, when he was doing that, he was so high on nitrous or whatever the hell else he was doing, he started to believe he was a gangster, like a gangster rapper. Like, he like got into like psychosis, delusional type shit. So that's what he says, like, when he was acting in his absolute most abrasive, when people hated him the most and all that.
Jesus.
Did you hear that?
Just move on. There's an airplane outside of Chris's.
Oh, it was a fighter jet.
Whoa.
It's like, the fact that they bring it up at the end of the movie and there's like, it's an in-joke for the boys to laugh at is, I love that they can all have a laugh at it. Like, it shows they're in a good place, like Steve was in a better place. And that, I think, is the button on top that you want to remember there. But yeah, he kicks that box and we get the real explosion and everything jumps into slow motion, and here we go. Like, the chaos ensues. Everything is blowing up, and I'm sure the question's going to come up, how much of this is real? I want to believe quite a bit of it is real. It looks like a good portion of it is. I mean, I don't know how much they would have altered in post, but there's some cool moments here. Like, you get Ryan Dunn sitting there. and they have a like exploding glass that just kind of disintegrates in slow motion in his hands as it explodes. You get an exploding piano. Preston getting lifted. He's sitting on a sofa, and underneath the sofa explodes, and he goes into the air. There's just so much cool shit happening here. They did it for the 3D. That's why it's here. But I really appreciated it. Like, you can tell in the moment, like, one thing I'm thinking is the guys wearing like the goggles, you know, and they got earplugs and stuff. It's got to be fucking loud in there. Like, everybody
loud,
just looks
debris
terrified.
everywhere. You don't want to get a splinter in your ear canal or anything like that.
Yeah.
To kind of add on to what you're talking about real or fake. I think that the first shot was real. When they have the first explosion and they're like, let's get real reactions to the explosion happening. But then they show, like, it's an 80s action movie. They show the explosion from like 1,000 different angles and sweeping shots and everything. And you mentioned, Jay, the Ryan Dunn one where he's sitting there with a cup in his hand. Like, how does he know to hold the cup exactly where it needs to hold, where the thing is going to break it, unless he's coached on doing that? So I think what happened is they did the initial one, everyone reacts, and then they had everyone on set do something that was going to be filmed from another angle. Wee Man going flying, Preston on the couch, Ryan Dunn with the glass, Johnny Knoxville with the dildos, which
was great. Yeah.
By the way, Johnny Knoxville with the dildos is funny because he has like a bowl of them, and there's clearly like a pneumatic something that sends them flying, and then other ones come from off screen and hit him in the face. Yeah. He had a tooth knocked out when one of those dildos hit him in the face.
Shut up.
No
and
way.
You barely even see it. Again, it's like one of these reactions, like all the dildos are lost because there's just a bunch of dildos flying in front of his face. You barely even see it, but yeah.
Holy shit. I had no idea. And that's a big bowl of dildos. That's like a Super Bowl party bowl of dildos. You put that out on the coffee table.
I don't know what Super Bowl parties you're going to, but they sound like fun. I need an invite.
So it all kind of culminates with the water. The water floods in and the set just falls apart as the whole room just like fills with water and sweeps the crew out. I love that Steve-O, he's fucking hip to something here, boys. I don't know if you noticed, but as the water floods in, he's the only one plugging his ears when the water floods in, as if all things that could happen to you in there. I don't want any water in my ears. He's on to something because no one else is
probably still got
that.
a massive ear infection from all the shit that entered his ear from the Poo Cocktail Supreme. Because that's another thing I love about this one is there's clearly so much elation on set. Sure, unbridled chaos, but everyone is also very excited because they very obviously filmed this as the very last thing to film on Jackass. So like, guys, once this is over, we're done filming, and now we don't have to worry about it anymore. You get that sense that everyone on set is so excited to be done this now.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think that's like the end of every movie. They get that same type of vibe. I never really put two and two together like that, but it's a celebration, bitches.
Yep, it's like last day of school, except if every day at school you were worried about people like punching you in the nuts or throwing you in a snake pit.
Yeah.
Goddamn locker snake pits. You gotta watch out where you walk. But yeah, that's it. And it takes us out with a nice little we get Trip Taylor in there again, right?
Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor, sorry, my bad.
Trip Taylor is Trip Taylor's one of the directors.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's always confused me now that you mention it. That's so funny.
Get a fucking different name. Yeah. But he's there, throwing confetti and shit. They got a big muscular guy and a Speedo.
He's like an actor.
And what?
Johnny Knoxville gives him a hug and he starts yelling, "No tongue, no tongue."
Yeah,
no tongue.
Maybe what's that guy's who was in the other sketch? He did all those like gay movies back in the day. Carl Waters or John Waters.
Oh, John Waters.
I feel like Rip Taylor would be in his movies.
Yeah,
like he seems like kind of like indie, kind of artsy movies or something. Maybe I don't know.
He's very flamboyant. That was kind of what he was known for. But he's kind of a similar vibe, but I think a little bit more outgoing on the camp side than John Waters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but boys, that is a Jackass film. Don't forget, we got the credits. So let's just quickly go over some of our favorite moments from the credits, as is tradition with these movies. Man, there's a lot of good shit in here. And as I was saying at the start of the episode, rightfully so, they had a fucking gold mine of content here. Like, even just the first thing we see is, I can't remember who it is, but someone jumps up and drop kicks
Dave
another
Englund.
guy.
Dave Englund drop kicks Bam in the face.
Bam,
it's fucking
in the face.
Like how that. Imagine taking a drop kick to the face and it doesn't make the movie. That would be such a bummer.
Yeah, and the hit, man, Jesus Christ, like it's exactly what you think, and it's again, it's another one of those fucking Zangief specials. Like he's perfectly horizontal.
Right up there.
We get a couple ones that I liked. I like the barrel surfing with Chris Pontius, and just surfing over some barrels on a surfboard. That was cool.
Wee Man with a full-sized bowl. That's pretty bold of him.
Jesus. Yeah, like even they did a tandem motorbike jump with a parachute. It didn't really work, which is why I see why they didn't put it in. But like it's the same setup you'd go if you're learning to skydive. Like you're tied to another guy.
Yes.
So I'm kind of sad that didn't work out better. It looked cool.
What about I could have used an entire segment of Bam skating on and off of an aircraft carrier. That must if that hasn't happened before in a skate magazine, or a skate video, that seems like it's ripe. You know, all the metal pipes and rails and like that would have been fucking awesome to see more of.
Yeah. It's like a big Navy vessel, right? And it's got a plank on it. Like did Navy ships have planks?
Well, every boat has to have a plank to walk.
You have to.
They're not pirates.
Yeah, you got the Somali pirates. If they only know one language, and that's plank walking and scurvy. There's only two ways to speak to them.
Man, there's so much good shit though.
Yeah, and honestly, by the end, they kind of shift away from the just like fast paced stunt after stunt after stunt, and they start to sing "Memories Make Me Want to Go," whatever that song is. I can't remember.
Yeah, the Weezer song.
Weezer, yeah, sorry. And they start to show childhood photos and early clips from Jackass, and like, man, I can't express enough how strange it is, how emotional I get when I watch the ends of a Jackass movie. It is just all of the angst and emotion and weird whimsy and sense of an invincibility that I had as a child, just reimagined and seeing it and living vicariously through these adults who are doing it all over again. I'm sentimental for how much I used to love Jackass. I'm sentimental for the childhood that I used to have. I remember where I was when I first watched this as opposed to where I am now and all the differences in my life. And, you know, memories make me want to go back there, but you never can. That's why they're memories. And it's like, it really gets to me when I watch these for some reason.
For me, it's, I said it before, boil it all down. The reason why I love Jackass. It's friends that never had to grow up. You know, like my favorite times in my life is like a lot of them is like when I was kids. You know, there was like a 1 year window when I didn't have to have a job. I had one summer, you know?
Sure.
And, you know, after that, I had a job. Before that, I wasn't able to go do what I wanted to do. So we would smoke weed. We'd just go find places to skateboard and just being together, just finding stupid shit to do. And these guys got to live that dream for their entire life. But then, as you said, as the time goes on, it's not quite the same. You can't go back to those days. So when you see those nostalgic old photos, it hits me for sure.
Yeah. It's like Never Neverland, like the real version of Never Neverland. Yeah.
It's great. And it was a good callback and a good call on their part to include that. And like, you know, with the childhood photos, all that shit. Yeah. It makes you go, holy shit. Like these guys have lived a life. And, you know, because they're touching and kind of playing off nostalgia here, I absolutely love. This really was a special moment for me when Pontius brings up something here to Knoxville. He says they're getting ready for a sketch, and he says, "You're an amazing roller skater. I remember seeing you at the LA River." And then Knoxville, embarrassed, is like, "Why you got to bring that up?" And it comes full circle, boys. Like, I mean, we get a replay of possibly the third greatest Jackass stunt of all time,
the LA River Gap.
Yeah, we see elephant shit Steve-O back when he was like in his early days, and like he didn't have the confidence he has now, and like it's like, wow, we've come a long way. And it made me think, it's taking me back as a guy who does the podcast on this shit. It's like double nostalgia.
For sure.
Because I'm thinking about all the shit we've talked about, rewatching this, and I'm just going like, wow, we fucking did it. We made it, boys.
Isn't there this weird feeling too of like this sentimentality of like, we can never go back and watch it again? You know what I mean? Like we've seen it now, we've analyzed it. Like that is, you get that once in your life. Maybe we wait another 20 years and do it again, but like we've already analyzed it as much as we can. Like we squeeze that lemon for all it's worth. And it's kind of like, fuck, we just ran out. Like, sure, we have Jackass 3.5 and we've got some other stuff that we can always do, but it's just, it's weirdly emotional. And then it all culminates with the introduction of Jeff Tremaine and Ape. And for some reason, that one really got me. They're just in a kitchen and Bam's like, hey, this is my friend Jeff. And Jeff's like, hi, April, my name's Jeff. And April's like, it's nice to meet you, Jeff. And it's just so innocent. Who the fuck would have guessed that they would have come that far after such a inconspicuous meeting like that?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, you're totally right, man.
Guys, I might cry right now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm feeling it.
Doesn't it feel like we're like at our like end? Like it's like, it sounds so ominous right now. It's like,
well, it's everything comes to this moment. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, this was at the time the last of the mainline Jackass ones, and I feel like there was more of a through line between Jackass season 1 and Jackass 3D than there was Jackass season 1 and Jackass Forever. Like Forever almost feels like an offshoot because it was so long. You know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Do you guys want to get into our MVPs and LVPs?
I do,
Of
but
the whole movie.
before we do, I got to ask, we're all in agreement, right? That young Preston was a fox.
He was, man. Yes, I totally
beefy
agree.
fox.
It's just he was like, it's like, remember when Cartman became the beefcake?
Yes.
It's just like, he's like,
Carly gives a few-
yeah, no, I like that.
All right. We should do MVP, LVP, and pour one out that the woodpecker pecking the pecker didn't make it into the movie. Pontius with the casted penis and the woodpecker. That was
100%.
So good, so poetic. Who wants to go first? I mean, are we doing the whole movie here, or just what we reviewed?
I think we do. I think we do the whole movie.
Yeah.
I think we do the whole movie.
Okay. Holy
I'll
shit,
go. I'll go
hard.
first. I'll go first.
Okay.
My gut, and I don't want to step on anyone else's pick, but this is not my pick. But I wanted to choose Johnny Knoxville because he's always there. He's always the one who's guiding everyone. Who's trying. He's now become a director as well as an actor as well as a writer. Like he's clearly there as like the guy. He's on set trying to tease out reactions from everyone. And I wanted to give him props for that. But I think it's more fitting if I give the MVP to someone who deserves it, someone who took a lot of shit from me over the course of this podcast, someone who shines so brightly, even when he's not the star of the stunt. He's always there. He's a friend. He's now, in his most confident stage. He's in his most funny stage and his most willing to kind of get down and dirty stage. It's Ryan Dunn. This is peak Ryan Dunn. Mm-hmm. Carries so many of these stunts, even the ones that he's not front and center in. And I owe it to him because of how hard I was on him for the first couple seasons of Jackass, the TV show. Yeah,
I was going the exact same pick over there. We had, who would have thought Random Hero would have turned into our hero?
Random Hero or Plugs.
But yeah, no, he just, is it getting bonus points because this is kind of the last big thing that you see him in? Is that I don't even give a fuck. It's just he was the core of this movie, and I'm so glad that after what we'd later know what's going to go on to happen, this is like our last big memory of him because it did his whole entire career justice.
100%.
Guys, this is really difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, how do you pick somebody? How do you pick somebody for this spot when A, this is the last movie we're probably going to review, and B, it's like everybody did a fucking good job in this movie. I was impressed with Preston. I said that early on, that he was in so many of the early sketches. Like Chris Pontius was reliably funny. Knoxville took a lot of big hits, and I think he was the glue that held everyone together. As much as I don't always agree with Bam's attitudes on set, he did a lot of funny shit in here, and he was funny a lot of times. Like, this is, how the fuck do I pick somebody? Like, I get what you guys, why you went with Dunn. Like, I get it. Even though Chris, you kind of just fucking took the easy way out and just agreed with Mikey. Let's be honest.
No, I was pissed off that Mikey got to go first because I knew he was going to pick Dunn, but I wanted to get it out there first, to be honest.
Here, let me ask you this then, guys. Do we know who spearheaded this to get these guys together? Because we all know
Johnny.
It wasn't likely to happen. Was it Knoxville? Was 100%. It Tremaine? Who did it? Do we know?
Johnny was filming things on. Like Wild Boys, and they were doing Wild Boys and things like that. And then he was also just started filming random shit just because he wanted that lust. And then Tremaine's like, oh, if you're going to be doing this like super gnarly shit, like, why are you doing it for nothing? Let's do another movie. And then he called the troops up and the boys were back.
Okay. So if that is the truth, and I'll take Chris's words for it because he's usually well researched on this stuff. So that's my pick then. It's Knoxville, because this almost didn't happen. And I'm so fucking glad it happened because it's incredible. This is, I don't know if it's my favorite because they're all good movies, but damn, man, it's special. And I'm glad they did Jackass 3 and that I got to experience it at the age I was at and like in a theater when times were different. Like all of that shit will never happen again the way it happened. And thank you, Knoxville, for putting it together. You're my MVP.
Yeah, I'm glad someone went Johnny because I think he deserves it in this one. And also shout out to Spike Jonze and Jeff Tremaine, who, you know, it can't happen without them either. I'm going to go. So my LVP, I got to be honest, a part of me was considering Bam Margera, but that felt like a little cruel given that he does have some positive spins in this. I don't want to focus on one person as the LVP of this one because I think that's unfair. I think everyone kind of shows up and plays a part. So
why
instead,
are you before me? You're saying all the exact same shit that I want to say. Like literally, I had that speech like going on in my head. Sorry to interrupt, but fuck.
Instead, I am going to give the LVP to the unstoppable steady march of time, which appears to ravage all of our memories, decompose our bodies and our bones, and take away from us the joy that we once had as children, which we can only relive through rewatching movies like Jackass 3D.
Yeah,
that's fair.
What he said. No,
God damn it.
No, it's. I just wanted to kind of touch back on that note where it's like it. These movies are so epic. I will not take a main cast Jackass person and say you're the LVP of this because everybody had good moments. Everybody had okay moments. And these are those moments like why slag someone down? But what I can do is put a little twist on it. And the old man, Harvey Zisman.
Harvey Zisman.
What the hell's his name? Why am I not getting it right?
Irving Zisman.
Irving Zisman. I always say Harvey for some reason because I don't really like that motif anymore. It's had its wheels. I don't think it's as believable. And then I don't know if this was, I'm pretty sure this is what spawned Bad Grandpa, which wasn't my favorite movie of all time. But yeah,
I think this was after Bad Grandpa because that's why they make the joke really Bad Grandpa.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm reaching here. There's nothing
really.
No,
Chris.
To, you know?
I honestly, I like that pick. Because I think it's, you know, there are elements of Jackass 3D that are a little bit played out. And I think that is the epitome of it. You know, a character, they have to use him, I guess, because he's a staple for Jackass, but I don't think any of his stunts really landed in this one. As Chris's phone rings. Jay, what about you? Where's your
Chris
LVP
has
going?
a big bowl of dildos on his table. Some of them take batteries. Yeah, this is, again, difficult decision because when you're doing a whole movie, holy shit, how do you pick somebody, I guess? But you know what? It's Sylvester Stallone, I think. He's the loser.
Oh, is this Rocky?
Well, they stole his bit, you know, and they didn't really do it justice. You know, there's no conclusion to any of those Rockies. But how many Rockies were there? Were there 4? They didn't even complete the fucking 5-ology, whatever you call a sequence of 5 movies. And I frankly...
Chris, what are you doing? We have like 5 minutes left.
I'm trying to turn it off silent.
It's been a long one. Frankly, though, like, you know, we don't get the conclusion. I want to know, does Bam Margera, you know, retire and get a robot only to come back to the fight on the streets one day and find that, you know, he might still have it in him? Is he going to one day coach a younger, you know, version of himself to go out and take cheap shots? And who would that version of himself be? You know, who is he going to mentor and give an inspirational speech to on a sidewalk somewhere in Brooklyn? You know, I want to know. And we didn't quite get that. And Stallone.
It could be Compton-ass Terry, who, by the way, was just acquitted of murder.
Nice. Good for Compton.
Yeah,
right?
Compton-ass Terry got off.
Sick.
I figured that was a nice way to insert some of that news.
I mean, that's not a situation you want to be in, but yeah, I mean, shit. I was not expecting a Compton-ass Terry plug right there, but of all things.
I was the whole time, I'm like, if there's any way to fit this in somehow, I'm going to do it.
Nice. I'm glad you did.
And Compton-ass Terry was kind of like, you know, he came on as like a little, like a Bam kind of like took him under his wing a little bit. So there you go. It works.
You know, at the least, you know, Stallone, he re-edited Rocky IV recently and released that.
I didn't know that.
He did. I say do a cut with Bam, you know, get Bam in there, throw a couple of those clips in, see if you can work it in. I don't know. I don't have anything better. I'm sorry, folks. Let's end it now because There's nothing more to say. I hate saying that. I had fun doing this with you guys and getting this far. We're not done yet. Don't worry. I'm not saying it's the end of the podcast. I'm just saying, like, we have to take a minute and just realize what we've accomplished here. We set out April 1st, 2021?
Something around there, yeah.
We're almost at our 2-year anniversary of this show, and we just did all the mainline Jackass shit. So I'd say we deserve a little pat on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Not bad,
Let's
boys.
do it.
Not fucking bad. Yeah. All right. I'll give one too. Yeah. That feels good, doesn't it? You know what else feels good? Following us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and you name it, wherever you can find us at Jackass Pod. Let us know what you thought of this fucking masterpiece of a movie. We want to hear your thoughts, memories, and everything if you haven't had a chance yet. So share it with us. And thanks for all your support so far, man. We appreciate you. 2 years just about going strong, and wouldn't be here without the people who listen every week. So we love you. Thank you.
Absolutely. If you're feeling sentimental out there listening to us as well, and you haven't yet given us a rating or a review on iTunes or Spotify, please do it. It means a lot to us. And, we've given this 2 years of our lives, and we'd love to see ourselves continue to grow along with you.
Mm-hmm.
Fuckers.
Well, fuckers, should we, I don't know, announce what we're doing next week? Just give a little plug. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna start moving into a best stunts of all time. We've got Chris. Put the fucking phone away.
I'm trying.
What are you doing?
I forget it's stuck on the stupid page, and every time it's Norm Macdonald telling a fucking joke. But like, guys, it's been a fucking an hour and bit. I know. I am. I cannot fucking deal with this shit. You know, you're going into more shit. Fuck. No hardest for me to sit this long. I can't even talk.
We'll finish off quick. We're going to be we are the one place with a full compendium of all the ratings of every single major stunt that's occurred in Jackass. We're going to start going over the best of all time and then probably the worst as well. So stay tuned. Maybe email us your list of the best and worst and predict where they're going to end up on the list, and join us next week for the start of that.
Yes. And Chris, you want to anything you want to say before he's losing his mind?
I keep forgetting that it's stuck on some looping Instagram reel video, and I keep trying to check one thing because my phone goes, and then it pops up and it scares me every time, and I panic. I can't focus for long, and I just get sidetracked. So I almost just did it again without even realizing it. That is so fucking weird. I'm not even putting on a bit or an act. It's just I'm fucked in the head. But yeah. Love y'all.
Well, we're all fucked in the head, and until next time. Bye, I'm Jason Wellwood.
Bye, I'm Chris Ehrenworth.
Bye, I'm Mikey Ehrenworth, and this has been Jackass.
Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Get into it!